Okay, so 9-month-old Husky Shepherd mix. He barks when you're out of sight.
Yeah. He needs to be by my side. He's literally right there.
Right. Okay, and when did you adopt him?
So I picked him up on Sunday.
Oh, okay, he just got there.
But it was like the foster family said a bunch of things that kind of led to like the same type of story. Like he wants to be by your side. From what they made it sound like, like he hated the crate, but I thought that too. So like the first couple of days, I would put him in there because this is where I work. I really work here in the crates right here in the corner. So I just put him in there, closed it up, and he didn't love being in there. But the fact that I was right here, he fell asleep.
Okay.
And then so I'm like, oh, okay, so that's kind of weird. But then when I put him in there and then I tried to leave, all hell breaks loose.
Okay. So is he just barking or is he trying to physically escape?
So barking, he's definitely barking and whining without a doubt. And then he, like, I wouldn't say throws his body into the cage, but he definitely nudges it a little bit trying to open it. And then the first night, and now that I watched your video yesterday, I probably shouldn't have done this. I looked through the window. I don't think he saw me, but I did look through the window to try to see, like, what are you doing in there? And he was gnawing at, like, the front corner with his teeth, which is what I'm petrified of. Like, I don't want to, like, the foster family, they're like, yeah, he slept all day. We work 8 hours a day. He slept in the cage for 8 hours. So I'm petrified to leave for an hour because what if I come home and he breaks a tooth or something and he's bleeding, and it's just like, I would feel awful.
Right.
So
they said he slept in they said he slept in the crate all day. Were they home with him or?
No, they left. So not slept, but he went in the crate, and then they said he escaped the crate, but they're like, yeah, we might not have tightened it up. And then the other day I asked, like, what tips? Like, hey, like, you got him in the crate, he slept all day. You said, like, any tips? Because he's not doing that for 15 minutes for me. And then they're like, yeah, so like he did escape like 3 times. And I'm just like, whoa. Didn't know that, but he's an escaper. And I got a Kong crate, which I think is what you talked about in your video, or maybe it was a different video that they mentioned Kong, that it's not just latches, it also like loops in. So like he's not breaking out of it, which is probably why he's trying to use his teeth at the corner.
Is it a collapsible metal crate?
Yeah, exactly. So it's just your classic collapsible metal crate. There's a gate right here, and I'm pointing at it. There's a gate right here, and then there's also a gate like up against the wall, which I put up against the wall. I only use the side one.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so all right, first things first. Do you have zip ties at home?
Yeah, a bunch.
Okay, you need to zip tie
him in there.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
I know it sounds good. You're not going to zip tie.
Oh no, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, not the door, but all the sides,
all the corners and stuff.
Yeah, I usually do 2 on each side.
Okay.
So the 2 things when you zip tie it, first of all, don't zip tie it in his presence. Yeah, I know it sounds weird, but he's gonna
no, I understand. I have to think about how to get him out of my presence.
Yeah, I know it's tough. So yeah, so
we can figure that out.
Maybe if you give him like some kind of chew toy just on the other side of that wall where he knows you're right there.
That'll be tough. I'll try that. If it doesn't work, my parents live around the corner, and he loves my mom too. So I can have my mom take him out back, and he'll be content that I can do it. We'll figure that out. I can absolutely do that.
And then the other thing, when you zip tie it, I've done this a million times. So zip tie it, and you got to clip the end, because if you leave it dangling, it's something for him to chew on. The only thing, the end that you clip, make sure it's outside of the crate, pointing, because it gets sharp. You know what I mean? So I usually do 2 zip ties on each of the sides.
Okay.
And then the door, you might want to get, like if you go to like the hardware store, the clasps on the end of a leash.
Yeah.
They sell them individually, and you clip 2 on the front door. So, because I mean,
so especially really can't get out.
If he's a husky mix, they are notorious escape artists.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So, as far as him chipping a tooth or something, he's probably not going to, because if he bites on those bars, he's just going to pop the bar off. But
he bent one a little bit.
All right, so if he just bent it, then that might be okay. But if you watched my crate training video and you're working from home, you have a lot of time right now, and it's early. He's only been with you, what, a few days?
Yeah, exactly.
right? So you still have time to create that positive association with the crate. On top of the fact, he may have tried to escape the crate in his foster home early on in their process with him, and then he
Sure.
finally acclimated and
Figured it out.
started sleeping 8 hours a day. But
Yeah. Yeah.
the bottom line, when they go from one environment to another, two things. Number one, you may not see what they saw, right? And number two, he just got uprooted again, so you have some of that anxiety coming up again.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm not sure if Tony talked to you about decompression and how it takes dogs time.
Yeah,
a little bit.
yeah, no, definitely. It's just from hearing the foster family, like what's really not confusing me, they're just kind of like they had him. He was in there for 8 hours a day, and I'm scared of leaving him in there for 15 minutes. Like, for lack of better words, do I just sack up and leave? Or do I because he'll go in the crate. Don't get me wrong. If I put a Kong treat with treats in there and I froze the peanut butter on the edge, he'll go in easily. Won't bark for 5 minutes, and then obviously he gets bored and excited.
Yes. So, do you live in an apartment or a house?
A house.
Okay, so if he barks a little, it's not a noise nuisance then.
No.
Okay, all right.
There's probably no one that can hear him.
Okay,
yeah.
So there's
maybe a neighbor if they're walking by. Yeah.
Right. There is a little bit of he's got to bark it out kind of thing, and you can't feel bad. The thing is that because you're working from home, you can do that now, right? So you do have to separate yourself from him at some point, so you could see how long it takes for him to bark it out, right? The other thing is, whether you use a cell phone or if you have a video camera, if you could set it up where it's pointing at the crate, and you can it's kind of after the fact, unless you have a Wi-Fi camera where you could watch it live, where you're going to have to see, how long does it actually take him to settle down? In other words, stop barking. But sometimes they stop barking and then they start escalating physically, like gnawing at the cage. So having some video will help you really determine the timing and what his escalating behavior is, because sometimes it's just escalation and barking, but sometimes they physically escalate and start trying to get out. So that'll give you some tangible evidence of, okay, you know what? He's going to go a little ape shit for 20 minutes, but then he'll ultimately settle down. And
I was outside. I did that for like 20 minutes last night. I sat outside so I could still hear him, but like he definitely didn't know I was there.
Right.
And it was weird. Like 5 minutes in, once he got rid of the Kong, probably is when he started barking. And then like 5 minutes later, he stopped for like 2 minutes, but then he started barking again. But it wasn't a lot of like movement. Like if he hits the crate, he's a strong dog. Like you can hear it. But it wasn't much of that. It was just the barking and whining.
Okay.
I don't know if he's scared I won't come back, or like maybe he'll get used to that. Like, yeah, he is coming back kind of thing. But
yeah, and I mean, obviously separation anxiety, and I'm glad that you told me it happens in the yard too, because my first thought was, oh, maybe it's just crate anxiety, but it's truly separation anxiety. Anytime you're out of sight, right? He's going to, I mean, I think all of us dog owners have experience, especially when we rescue dogs. We don't know what the hell happened to them mentally, so they're like, oh wow, I found somebody. Oh wait, where you going?
Come back.
And I have pits, so talk about dogs that could pop a crate open pretty easily.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So I mean, first of all, secure the crate, obviously.
Yeah, I'll do that today.
And then there's got to be some level of giving him opportunities to bark it out, so you can kind of gather, because really you're going to be gathering information at this point. How long will he bark it out? And the main thing is that's why having a camera set up will give you tangible information. Like, okay, he's gonna chew on his Kong. It's gonna be done. Then he's gonna start barking. Then he's gonna settle down. Then he might start gnawing on the cage. Then he might settle down again. And hopefully when he settles down that last time, that's when we come back in and let him out. So he starts to understand, number one, all of his previous anxious behavior doesn't work. It doesn't get him out. It doesn't produce his human. But when he settles down and relaxes, that's what produces his human, right?
Understood. Yeah, understood.
It's kind of like when we teach a dog to sit. They sit because, their ass hits the floor and they get a treat, right? Well, he settles down and his human comes back, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're trying to achieve. A couple of, I don't want to state, for lack of a better word, mistakes or pitfalls that sometimes happen during crate training is people do the same thing before they put the dog in the crate and they're going to leave. Like they'll go for a long walk, well, they'll run in the yard and then they come back in and put the dog right in and then they leave. While structure and scheduling and consistency is good, when we have a dog that has separation anxiety and crate anxiety, because he probably has both, right?
Yeah.
We want to change it up a little bit. That's why crating
Okay.
him and it's good that you're crating him when you're home too. Like you're crating him when you're working and he's right there. So that's good. So he doesn't associate the crate just with your departure.
Okay.
Right.
So keep
So
doing that, you think?
yeah. And
Okay.
then, if you're going to leave, because you got to remember, I mean, we pick up keys, we put our jacket on,
Yeah.
right? They know
Yeah.
we're leaving. So this is going to sound really goofy too, but like when we hang up, if you're going to, if you have a call or you're going to be doing some work, grab your keys, put your jacket on, put them in the crate, and then sit down at your desk.
Okay. I'll do that. Happily do that.
And so
Yeah,
you might
it's a
get a
good
little,
idea. Yeah.
might get a little warm, but
Should I give him? I'll accept it. I'll accept it. Should I give him the treat that I usually give him when I leave?
Yep, do that. Yeah,
Okay.
give him the treat. It's just now he's getting the treat. He's going in the crate. Oh shit, your jacket's on. You're picking up your keys. Oh, you're not going anywhere. That's part of desensitizing him to, because we're creatures of habit just as much as they are.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And while structure and consistency is good, when it comes to desensitizing to the crate, we want to change things up a little bit. The same thing with a leash. Like, when people say, oh, my dog just goes super crazy when we put the leash on. Well, the first thing I have them do is start putting the leash on and don't go for a walk.
Yeah, I've been doing that. Yeah, he doesn't have it on right now because he had it on all morning. But yeah, I've been putting on, just letting him drag it around a little bit, just to know that he doesn't need to go.
Yeah, it's just a matter of fact, another thing that happens throughout his day, and it may or may not mean he's going for a walk, and that's like step one of desensitizing him to overstimulation and stuff. So
understood.
Now you're giving him the Kong. Are you giving him any other recreational chew treats?
Chew treats, other than little cookies, no. But I have he doesn't even know they're in here, so I can just grab them. Oh, where are you? I have this guy right here. It is an elk antler dog chew.
Oh, nice. Good. Okay.
And then I have this one, which he really likes, which is why I put it away. I was only going to give it to him when I put him in the cage. It's I forget what they called it, but he chipped at it a little bit. So
right. It's like
I wasn't too sure to keep doing that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You know what's good too, especially when you're doing these little quick hits, like putting them in the crate for 5 or 10 minutes. Cow ears are good. Cow ears or bully sticks, because they're not going to last that long. A cow ear is probably only going to last like 5 minutes, but they're cheap too. You can get them on like Chewy you can get like 50 of them for like $60.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And again, like it doesn't last as long as an antler, right? But it's just something for him to chomp on, especially as we're still trying to create that positive association with the crate, making sure that you're not leaving when he goes in the crate. He chomps through it. He'll chomp through it. You're right there. He'll settle down. Anytime you give him a quick chew and you're sitting at your desk, let him go through his process of finishing the chew. He might get a little antsy, but he's ultimately going to lay down because you're right there. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
When he lays down, let him settle for like 2 or 3 minutes when he's really relaxed, and then just go open the door.
Okay.
Right. Because again, it's not
but
just
not
about
making a big deal out of it, just opening it up.
Matter of fact, open it. He can come out if he wants. You don't talk to him. Don't say, okay, come on, boy. Just open it up, because we need it's not just about training. This is where we're creating and rewarding a different state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So basically, a relaxed state of mind gets him what he wants. Right.
Yeah.
Which is why the zip ties are important, because if he chews and chews and chews and gets out, that's a really hard behavior to modify, because think about
now he knows he can get out.
Right. And that anxiety created that behavior, and then he starts chewing, and then ultimately he gets out, which is just as effective as giving him a cookie when he sits.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Fair
know,
enough.
yeah. So because that's one, especially with young dogs in new environments, there's a lot of, again, the acclimating period, but also he's going to start exhibiting behaviors that suit him and that are successful to him, and they're not always
Yeah.
going to align with what we want.
Yeah.
um,
Fair enough.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and now as far as his obedience, does he know any obedience commands, or sit down,
He'll
come?
sit. He'll go down, like lay down, kind of, or like I would say halfway successful with that. He'll sit pretty regularly,
Okay.
unless he's outside and he sees something that he wants to go outside. I have to
Yeah.
work on that pretty good, but
Right.
working on stay, which is tough because he wants to be by my side. So I watched a video this morning that had a couple different tips and tricks that I haven't done.
Okay.
I've been doing it mostly outside and like I get him to sit, then I like take 2 steps away and kind of say stay, and they're like saying no, like have them stay, like literally just stare at you for a second to
Yep.
start.
Yeah.
So they know that like they have to stare at you and not move.
Right.
So
And
I think I was doing that probably wrong for a few days, so I think I have to probably re-kick that up a little bit in a different way to make that work a little better. But
yeah, and
I've had him for 3 days, so
right.
I'm
Yeah,
not
exactly.
too mad.
Yeah. And anytime you're teaching new behaviors, you always want to start inside where there's no distractions.
Okay.
Okay. Especially with a young puppy, always start inside with no distractions. And your goal, and like you mentioned, your goal literally is a step at a time. So, I mean, my dog knows stay, but hold on a sec. To your point of when you're teaching them stay, right? You're literally putting them in a sit. And I like to put my hand out initially just so there's a visual for the dog. And
Okay.
what I like to tell people to do is don't move, but just lean back a little bit, right?
Okay.
So you're still in the space, but you're getting this kind of motion. Let me do this. So you're getting this kind of motion from the dog,
Sure.
and then come back and give them the treat, right?
Okay.
Okay. And then get him in motion, lure him around with the treat so he's interested in the treat, get him to sit again. And then you're going to put that hand out and look how close we are. We're right here, right?
Yeah.
Once you get this solidified, just take a half a step back, but your hand is going to be staying here. Deuce, come in. Sit. So the hand is still here. We take a step back. We're still really in the same spot, but we're getting our body in motion, and then we come back in.
Sure. Okay.
And then ultimately it'll be 2 steps back or a longer step back, and then we come back in. Stay. And then we go 2 steps and come right back in. Don't wait too long, right? And then what happens is over time, oh, you knucklehead, he's such a brickhead. And then what happens is that half a step becomes a full step, right? And the trick is we always come back in to reward the stay.
Okay.
A lot of, again, I hate to use the word mistake because some dogs just get it despite us.
Yeah.
A mistake some people make is they teach the stay, they walk away and then call the dog to us. They call the dog to them, where we have to come back in initially so we really solidify what stay means. And then ultimately down the road, as we're getting further away from the dog, then we can give them a recall or a release command, like okay. Or come. So
down the road,
yeah. So with the stay command and a lot of obedience, there's 3 components. There's time, distance, and distraction, right? So with the stay, our first goal is time, right? Staying right there, putting them in the stay, keep our hand out. 1, 2, 3, good boy, right?
Yeah.
And then we want to increase the time while we're right there. And then we take a step back and we start creating that distance, okay? So with the distance, it's really simple. If you can get 2 steps away, but not 3 steps, that means 2 steps isn't reliable yet.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's really
simple, but yeah, absolutely.
It's really that simple, right?
Yeah.
And there's times, especially when you have a dog with separation anxiety, 3 steps might be solid. 3.5 ain't happening, right?
Yeah.
We come back into 3 and we make sure that 3 steps is really solid, right? And then we have that distance. Now at 3 steps, we start adding time. So you're adding time and distance each little baby step.
Yeah.
As you get good in your living room, then we go out in the backyard and we're adding distractions.
Yeah.
Okay. And
It's a whole different game. Okay.
it is. So if you get to 4 steps in your living room, you still might only be a step or a half a step outside.
Yeah.
There's
Absolutely.
a little bit of starting over, but we need to solidify the behavior inside where distractions are low first.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Fair enough. Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely. Makes sense.
And it's important too, because again, it sounds goofy, but even if you're 6 feet away from him, like initially that just might be too much for him.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's fair. Yeah.
Right. But what happens as we're getting further and further away? Obviously, we're building his confidence, but we're also building reliable behavior that, hey, being far away from dad ain't that bad. I know this game. Ultimately, I'm going to get close to dad if I just listen to what he wants.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So that's kind of how I start with the stay command, literally baby steps. So,
Okay.
um,
Sounds good.
yeah, so you'll have sit. I mean, you have, and if you do sit, stay, and down, stay, you can, like, if you're giving him a sit, stay, and he starts laying down, but he's staying in that spot, that's okay for now. Down the road, you could always separate sit, stay, and down, stay.
Okay.
The main thing is, like, if he's staying, like, take it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Oh, I will. But usually when he goes down, he gets his cookie. He doesn't want to stay down for too much longer. So
Right.
I don't think that'll be an issue yet, but if it does, understood.
Yeah. And then how are you walking him, or is he like just in the yard mostly, or?
Yeah, I usually walk him in the morning. Well, 3 days, but walk him in the morning for probably about 45 minutes. Then at night we go for like an hour 15, and he pulls pretty good. So I try to keep him as close as I can, say heel, but obviously whatever he sees he wants to play with. So because at his foster he had 3 other dogs, so there was he always had something. Every dog he wants to play with, every dog he sees he thinks is probably lives with his best friend. So trying to keep him at my side a little bit, which it's been tough, but it's a couple days in. By all means, it's not bad. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, if walking's a problem, we can always have a conversation in the future and maybe introduce some kind of walking aid. But right now, as long as it's manageable and he's not dragging you down the street, I mean,
no.
I mean, you look like you're in good shape, so I'm sure you can handle it.
Yeah, no, he's all right. He's all right. If my mom were to walk, it might be a different story, but I got him for now.
Right. And then we, obviously keep up with the walks. It's only day 4. But really important with his training. Obviously, we talked a little bit about starting in distractions, and then we start going out in the yard with his training. I'm a huge proponent of play training once they start learning their obedience. So does he like fetch or tug or anything like that?
Yeah, both. Yeah, he'll do both all day. Yeah.
Yeah. So even if you just make him sit in between interactions, that gets him working for his toys. So 2 things happen. Obviously, we're stimulating him mentally and physically, but we're also making sure that he's not just working for treats. He's working for other resources. This way he doesn't become treat dependent.
Okay.
Right. So, and then, I mean, I don't care. I'll use treats as long as I need to use treats. But along the way, I am incorporating other rewards like toys, playtime, physical affection. I'm making sure I incorporate these other rewards while I'm training, again, so he's not treat dependent, and down the road, he's working for all types of resources.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, and then I mean, out in the yard when, being out of his sight, what kind of fenced yard do you have?
So it's chain linked, and it's probably about like 5 feet tall, but he's not roaming free by any means. I have it's weird to say, but my yard's kind of like this. It's like big pieces of yard, but there's like the fence in the middle, a big pole right in the middle. So I have a huge cable attached to that, which he can get to all parts of the fence. But if he wanted to, he's got some hops. So I think he could jump any fence if he wanted to. So just for now, in the first couple of weeks, I'm trying to make sure he's content. He hasn't tried to go after anything in the yard by any means, but I'm trying to.
It's fully fenced in, right?
So the one front, which is why I have the cable also, the front part it was damaged when I moved in. I bought this in March. I moved in September.
Okay.
And then in the beginning, it's kind of like, okay, let's fix the inside. The fence is next. So now the fence is next.
Right.
So that will be fixed. It'll be fixed soon, but not currently. It's I would say 90%, if that makes any sense.
No, that's cool. I go,
Yeah.
well, you did read my mind, because even if you had a 6-foot stockade fence, he could still get over that.
Oh, I know. The other day I had a toilet on my one side and he was on the other and on the ground, and I was on the couch. He jumped over me to get. I was just like, whoa, okay, yeah. Like I was shocked, because I'm 6'2". That's a good jump.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. There you go. He's playing with a chew toy he's never played with before. So
Good.
maybe that's the next one in the cage.
There you go. Yeah. So, and so as far as separation in the yard, I would say don't even flirt with that right now.
Okay.
Just focus on the separation inside the house first. On top, where do you live? You're up north, right?
Cinnaminson, New Jersey. It's like South Jersey.
Oh, okay. You're South Jersey.
Like
Okay.
right outside Philadelphia,
Gotcha.
essentially.
Okay. So yeah, I'm from North Jersey originally, and so I'm familiar with the area and some of the issues with people leaving dogs home alone in yards and stuff. Like dogs, not that you would, but
no, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
dogs get stolen all the time, and it's not the aggressive ones that get stolen; it's the sweet ones.
Yeah.
So not that you would ever do that, but just
No, I understand.
So, yeah, don't just always supervise him especially because he's 9 months old. God knows what the hell kind of trouble he's going to get into.
Exactly. He's got some energy for days. So
yeah. So all right. Do you have any other questions or?